morning. You're watching the Channel M Breakfast Show on Thursday, the 30th of April. I'm Nikki Dean.
And I'm Byron, desperately searching for a surgical mask. Evans, in a few minutes of all the latest sports news and headlines, the live performance from a local folk hero, Clive Gregson, at the very end of the programme. But first, let's get our latest business news with journalist and also editor of the business page of the Manchester Evening News, Kevin Duffy.
Good morning, Kevin, and you bring with you this morning Noel Pilling, who we will be talking to in just a little minute. But Kevin, let's start with some of the local business stories, and we'll kick off with Lookers.
Yes, Lookers is the car dealer based in Manchester with dealerships all over the country and also in Northern Ireland, and they've reported some very weak figures today with profits down substantially and some plans for restructuring involving a lot of job losses, closing loss-making operations and dealerships around the country. And when you take all those costs into consideration, they've actually made a loss in 2008 of almost £15 million. So it's a very weak market for car sales, as you can imagine, during the recession. However, they do say that things are starting to pick up and there's a little bit of glimmer of light with the trading figures in the first quarter of this year. Moving on now to McBride, which is a big company with operations in Middleton in Greater Manchester. They make household cleaning products and household goods for supermarkets and other shops, and they've reported a bit of an increase in trade in the first few months of the year. Very competitive market, as you can understand, for household goods and own label products, but their sales were up 12% in the first few months of this year.
Excellent news. And we'll bring it at this point, I think, the business supplement this morning. Main headline reads, swine flu hotline is swamped by bosses. Noel, very good morning to you. Noel Pilling, Health and Safety Director of Peninsula Business Services. Tell us what this story is all about.
I think, surprisingly, we didn't anticipate the volume of calls that would start to occur earlier on this week, questioning what activity an employer should take in relation to the swine flu. And as publicity has increased nationally, more and more employers have started to ring our advice line for practical advice on what they should or shouldn't be doing.
I suppose there's a very fine line here, Noel, between scaremongering and actually common sense advice with taking precautions.
I think at the moment common sense and non-panic is the key message. The only people affected so far in the UK have been involved with either travel or have been directly involved in the Mexican situation. At the moment, there's no evidence so far that there is a need to panic in the UK, but obviously a lot of employers are starting to become a little bit edgy.
What are the sort of common questions coming from local businesses then?
What do I do if somebody starts to show symptoms? Do I send people home? Do I have to start to consider closing my workforce? Obviously, the small employer, the small business in the whole of the UK can't afford people to be off sick. And at the moment, we're relying heavily on the World Health Organization, the National Health Service and their guidance. The key message from our point of view at the moment to employers is don't panic. Just deal with it in the normal, common sense way. People at this particular juncture are starting to show signs of hay fever. The common cold is always about. Unless you've been involved in the Mexican situation, unless you've been on board a flight where that is a possibility, the advice is stay calm. If you start to develop symptoms, contact your GP and take advice from there.
Well, the epicentre of this health issue is Mexico. And as we've seen, as the threat level has increased, we've seen the sort of transport infrastructure start to kind of stop delivering so much on their day-to-day schedules. We've seen government buildings actually now close. This could have a huge impact on sort of the business infrastructure of, obviously, Mexico. Do you think that would be replicated around the world? Are we going to start to see businesses actually close their doors?
I think that's a $64,000 question. At the moment, we're not sure. The World Health Organization have risen to level 5 for activity, which is to advise and prepare all governments. Our own government at the moment are preparing contingency plans. I think it's too early to say at this stage. It is a possibility that the virus might just die off for a little while. Then again, of course, it could suddenly swamp us and we'll have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis to some extent.
According to the article, calls for advice hit 3,000 over just 2 days. That's phenomenal. Are you expecting that this figure will rise because of reports that we're reading in the
Well, I
newspapers
think because of the increased media publicity, the increased awareness, the government advertising campaign, which I'm led to believe is going to start today, where all homes are going to be leafleted, where there's an increase in awareness, that might happen. I think, again, the message is still the same at this stage. Don't panic, good common sense, personal hygiene, use the appropriate tissues, bin it, good personal hand washing, disinfect surfaces, and just stay calm.
Okay.
Well, finally, Noel, I suppose people watching this, they want some advice. Where do they go to? How do they get in contact with you?
I think from our point of view, our clients have obviously got our advice line. In general terms, if anyone is showing symptoms or they are concerned, my suggestion will be the NHS direct line or their own local GP.
Okay, Noel, Kevin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Time now for the latest news headlines with Kevin Duffy.
Good morning. Here's your breakfast headlines and some breaking news. Police are investigating a suspected arson attack at a pub in the early hours of this morning. A man and a woman were asleep in the flat above the Derby Arms in Bolton Road in Bury, and they discovered the flames when they were woken up by a loud bang. The couple got themselves out safely but had to be treated for smoke inhalation. Police are asking anyone with information to call them on 0161 872 5050 or Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Now, town hall bosses in Salford have apologised after they wrongly sent a letter to a woman to offer their condolences for the death of her elderly husband. 73-year-old Barbara Flinton, who lives in Weast, burst into tears when she read the letter. But only minutes later, she was told that the authorities had made a mistake. Barbara's husband, John, was in fact still alive in the care home that he'd moved in last month after suffering a stroke. A spokesman for Salford Council said that the error happened because of a mix-up in a message from one of their partner agencies. Now, we're staying with this story and we're going to be catching up with Barbara later on Channel M News. As a public information campaign about potentially deadly swine flu gets underway this morning, Government Education Minister Ed Balls has warned schools across the UK to be ready to close if necessary. Leaflets with advice about the disease are being sent to every household in the country. And meanwhile, public health expert Dr. David Baxter from Manchester University has been taking part in an online discussion with Manchester Evening News readers in a bid to dispel some of the misunderstandings surrounding swine flu.
From pigs, it's spread by the respiratory route, yeah? In human beings, one would think it would be spread the same way, coughing, sneezing, and also on hands, which is why the two good control measures people are talking about are good respiratory etiquette, know what to do about coughing and sneezing, and also the importance of regularly, frequently washing your hands in soap and water. I think one of the things that I would say that perhaps is reassuring is that the Home Office, the UK Border Agency, are saying that people coming back from Mexico, unless they're ill, shouldn't isolate themselves, can go into work, and although they've got to keep an eye on themselves and make sure they don't develop illness within 7 days, they're not being restricted in any way.
And if you found the traffic hard going on the way home last night, there's a good chance it was because of this. This very large hole appeared in Barleymoor Road, Didsbury, late in the afternoon and resulted in the road being closed between Palatine Road and Wilmslow Road, with the inevitable impact on traffic heading south. Bury Council have set a date to honour 3 of its famous citizens. The lucky trio comprises the Oscar-winning director Danny Boyle, the pop band Elbow and the Paralympian Zoe Robinson. All of them will be granted freedom of the borough in a town hall ceremony that's due to take place on May the 11th. Only 26 people have been granted the freedom of Bury in the last 110 years. Well, that's it from me for now, and we're going over to Byron and Mike for the latest sports headlines.
Manchester United won Arsenal 0 in the first leg of the semi-final of the Champions League. And it was that young man who scored the only goal of the game, John O'Shea. We'll be hearing some post-match thoughts from the United players a little bit later. But firstly, another day, another City's transfer speculation.
Yeah, he's 22 years old. He's been valued at £15 million. He's a midfielder, plays for Sporting Lisbon. It's Miguel Veloso is today's hot topic of discussion at Manchester City. We believe, though, according to the current Bund this morning, talks have already begun with his agent. So this one, at least, has got some substance to the rumour.
Really, Mike, because as we've seen with Eto'o, that was a nonsense story in many respects. Kaka fell through it very early stages.
But within none of those stories quoted an agent. So, you know, we believe you can open up discussions with anybody. It doesn't mean they're going to come. But Miguel Veloso, 22 years old, that would be a good acquisition. Kaka was never going to happen, though, was it?
The Forbes rich list was out at the weekend, and still at the very top of the wealthiest footballers in this country was Michael Owen.
Absolutely. He's been linked today with a move to Everton during the summer. And although he's in the rich list, I read that as well, it was very interesting. We can probably do something on that tomorrow. He is prepared to take a drop in his salary demands. He currently earns £100,000 a week minimum, and he said he'll move to Everton for a little bit less. So I'm glad to see he's been a little bit frugal.
That's good of him, yeah. It's expensive running those helicopters, you know.
Doesn't he own a whole street? Didn't he buy a street and move his family in?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't bought St James's Park, to be honest, but there you go. All right, as we mentioned, Manchester United are 1-0 up in the first leg of the Champions League final. Great headline on the back page of the MEN this morning. Johnny's gem, as Mr O'Shea scored the only goal of the game.
Yeah, Channel M's Andy Dickman was there at the game, and afterwards he caught up with the supremely confident Cristiano Ronaldo.
We have opportunity to score more goals, but we scored only one goal. Still good. We have to go Arsenal and score 1 or 2 goals, or draw, or... But Manchester show a few times we can score in everywhere, and this is a big challenge, but I believe we can score there.
With the team that you've got, are you confident you can do that next week?
Very confident. We look forward to win there and to go to the final. I believe that.
What would that mean to get to the final again? What would it mean to get to the final again?
Well, it's an unbelievable achievement if we go to the final. Yeah, the old players want that, and we look forward for that. The players is very confident.
Well, there's a young man who's always a joy to watch on the pitch, and it was great to see another man back on the pitch, Silvestre.
Yeah, Mikel Silvestre. He got a great reception from the fans as well. Ronaldo's confident, so Silvestre about the second leg.
We defended well. We had a lot of saves from our goalkeeper. He did really well, and the back four fight until the end. The opposition was amazing. You play against the best players in the world, so it's great. It's a great challenge as a defender.
And what was it like being back at Old Trafford tonight, finally?
It was a good feeling. The fans were good with me, and I've seen a lot of people that I spent 9 years with, so it's good to be back.
Well, as Manchester United continue their winning ways, it's a shame the same can't be said for the other side of the road.
Yeah, 3 wins so far in the league this season. The Lancashire Cricket Club you're alluding to. It's day 1 of 4 ended yesterday in the LV County Championship game against Nottingham. Lancs all out for 189. Ashwell Prince, the only star of the show, with 74. Andre Adams doing the damage for Nottingham, taking 4 for 49. In reply, Nott's first innings ended as Bad Light stopped play yesterday on 52 for 1. And the shocking statistic there, Byron, Lancs lost their last 6 wickets for a paltry 29. So I think they've probably been warming up watching some DVDs of England lowlights, probably, haven't they? So 3 wins. They're not lost yet. There's still 3 days to go, and it is raining, so hopefully we can snatch a draw from the jaws of defeat.
Thanks, Mike. We seem to say that far too often when it comes to cricket.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with England, though, isn't it? So.
Absolutely. Well, let's finish off with a bit of football, and we're talking lower leagues. We're talking local, very
Premier
local.
Cup final yesterday. It's Droylsden against Mossley. 3 goals. Look out for the best own goal you'll ever see.
And plenty of movement in the centre, and it comes in towards Byron. It's a great start for Droylsden. A lot more urgency from them. Here's Brown, falls for Sovell, brilliant. Here's Blackshaw, up against Brownhill. Too much support, Cross does eventually come in, and Brown! That's an unbelievable own goal.
Yeah, we made it difficult for ourselves, didn't we? I mean, we should have scored early doors. We didn't do. And in a game like that, obviously, the more the time goes on, the more they come on to the game. They come on. We got a 2-0 game. I thought we could really put our foothold on the game, but we didn't. We scored an own goal, and obviously they pushed us right to the end. So credit to Mosley for making a game of it. But I thought the right result in the end.
That was an amazing own goal, but may I remark on Mike Byron, part you, part me. What a winner.
What a winner. Yeah. Close.
OK, let's move on. Final bit of stories that are broken overnight, starting with Sebastian
Chabal has signed for Racing Metro. He's left Sale Sharks. He had a year left on his contract to go. The club allowed him to leave. He had a proviso in there. If Philippe Saint-André left, he could leave, so he exercised that option. €1.2 million basic per season he'll earn. I can't understand why he left Edgeley Park. Wow. And Andy Murray wakes up this morning as a proud Scotsman, having lost in the Rome Masters 6-1, 3-6, 5-7 against the qualifier Juan Monaco from Argentina. So Scotland, Andy Murray's all yours.
Yeah, Wimbledon's still yet to come, then of course he'll be British.
Absolutely.
Finishing up with just what's coming up on tomorrow's Breakfast Sport.
Tomorrow's Breakfast, we've got one of the greatest guests ever. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Jimmy Greaves will be in the studio from 7:30.
Jimmy Greaves?
Jimmy Greaves will be in the studio from 7:30.
The Jimmy Greaves?
10-year-old Jimmy Greaves plays for Chatterton FC. He's going to be a big star of the future.
Ah, it's a shame I'm at a wedding. Thanks, Mike. Time for a break now. Coming next, from Manchester to Nashville and back again. Folk singer Clive Gregson joins us for a live performance. We'll see you soon.